Hi everybody, welcome. Thank you everyone for joining the session today. The topic that we'll be looking at today will be PPM, Portfolio and Project Management, leveraging the Microsoft Power Platform. The theme and the focus of today's session is around the project lifecycle, costing projects and resourcing projects. On the session from the TPG side today are myself. I'm Peter O'Neill. I head up the UK and Ireland divisions of TPG, the project group. You'll be hearing from John Downing, who's our senior PPM consultant. He'll be walking through a lot of the demo, and also will be supporting Katie Allen, head of marketing in the UK. And you may hear from Katie for follow-up, and she'll be a point of contact for any material that's covered on the session. A little bit of admin using GoToWebinar. There's a questions section. If anyone has a question during the demo, please enter those questions and using the tab, and the overall session will be recorded and will be available afterwards, and the slides as well in PDF format. A little bit about TPG, the project group. We've been around for over 20 years, delivering and supporting deployments of PPM solutions into a variety of organizations. The four main areas of service that we offer are consulting services, overall solutions. We have a suite of products that support PPM processes, and we offer training solutions as well. But the kind of activity that we do, we provide consulting around PPM methods and processes. We help organizations build and develop their PPM strategies. We help then the implementation of those PPM strategies into solutions. We integrate various roles across organizations and indeed systems into the PPM solutions, provide long-term support to customers, not just the design and implement, but we provide long-term support and ongoing evolution and improvement of those solutions. We work to establish standards of processes and solution build. The net result of that for customers is a more mature PPM capability within their organizations. We have offices around the world as listed here, and where we don't have offices, we have a very active partner network spanning the globe. Just a subset of some of the customers that we work with in various sectors. Just about every sector we work in, ranging from small scale solutions and projects right through to large global deployments from multiple countries and divisions. Again, moving on to the subset, again, you can see some of the other verticals that we're active in. Now I'm going to switch over to John, who will be walking through our Microsoft Power Platform solution. And over to John. As I said, any questions, please use the questions pane on the right-hand side. Just bear with me while I hand over to John.
I've got a couple of slides to start with. So today we're talking about leveraging the Microsoft Power Platform. What is the Microsoft Power Platform? Well, it's a powerful set of applications within the Microsoft Dataverse. As you can see here, we've got 4 applications. We've got Power Automate, Power Apps, Power BI, and Power Virtual Agent. And this is all on the Microsoft Dataverse, which is based on a no-code, low-code architecture that makes it easily maintainable and extendable, and even using customer resources to do this. It's a huge investment area for Microsoft, and indeed a huge growth area, and it's set to be the cornerstone of Microsoft's business applications architecture for the foreseeable future. So the different applications here, then Power Automate, we're going to be using this to manage the flow of data and automate our processes. We're going to be using Power Apps to create a rich, consistent and user-friendly interface through which we can view and also interact with interconnected data. And interconnected is going to be the key here, and I'm going to mention that a few times today around how we relate the data together within the Dataverse up front, so we can view that through an interconnected lens in our Power Apps. Power BI then is our reporting tool, a very powerful reporting tool which allows us to tell stories with the data, and then of course we can share those with the stakeholders within the business. Power virtual agents, not so much at the moment, not so involved, but certainly if that's something you're interested in, please do get in touch. So, TPG ProjectPowerPack. Well, what is Project PowerPack? Well, it's our off-the-shelf pre-configured solution, which comes with a comprehensive set of PPM capabilities. There are 3 main flavors of scheduling for now. More are certainly coming in the future. Firstly, we have Microsoft's Project for the Web, so the modern project tool, which has been released fairly recently by Microsoft. We have TPG Scheduler, so something a little bit more heavyweight in terms of the types of scheduling that you might be doing. And of course, we also have Project Online as well. I've got here so far, as I alluded to a second ago, we do have more coming, and yeah, some customers are using additional scheduling tools as well. So the TPG ProjectPowerPack solution then. So the solution capabilities, I'm going to run through quickly now. The aim of this session is going to be to give us a slightly more detailed look into some of the features of this solution. We're going to be talking mostly about project lifecycle, costing and resourcing. So I'll go through all of these elements here on this slide, but we're going to be touching on some of these in a bit more detail in this session. Firstly then, project ideas, requests, lifecycle management, approval workflow. This is certainly something that we're going to dive into a little bit more detail on today. And then, of course, projects and programs, and of course, portfolio management. We will touch on these as well because obviously that's key as project ideas and requests move into projects. And of course, we aggregate with programs, portfolios, and any other kind of wrappers that sort of make sense to you, really. It can be configured in the solution. Budget, cost planning, actuals and controlling, ERP integration. So yeah, again, this one we're going to be focusing on in this session, just looking at some of the interfaces that we have as part of the Power Pack, which is something that really sets this solution apart. The ease at which you can interact with the data, drag around groupings and filters and things like that in an Excel style, which is something that our customers really love. Resource capacity planning, request commitments. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about this as well. Very similar to the previous one I've just mentioned, which is that ease of interaction, ease of adding the data and seeing things not just from the bottom up, but also from the top down as well. And then collaboration documents, risks, issues, change requests. This is something that we're going to maybe touch on briefly today, but will be coming in more detail in a future session. Same kind of thing here with these other elements. Of course, projects have lots of different elements to them, not just scheduling and lifecycle, but all sorts of things. Reporting, status reports, snapshotting. Yeah, so again, not going to talk too much about this today, but that will be coming in a future session. And of course, scheduling and timelines, key milestones and things of that nature. Again, that's something that we'll cover on a later session. Right, okay, that will do for the slides. I'm now going to jump into the solution demo. So the focus of today is going to be around project lifecycle, costing and resourcing. So we'll dive into those areas in a little bit more detail. However, I'm going to give you an overview of the whole solution, and just to give you an idea of a number of the things that it's got to offer. So what you see before you, this is the TPG ProjectPowerPack. You access it through Microsoft 365 and a link in your browser, or we can also tag it to the waffle or app picker at the top left as well. As you can see, we have our home dashboard straight off the bat with Power BI. So I can click on Power BI, any of these tiles in here. We're already starting to see some of the information we've got in the system being brought to the top, things that you need to look at. The red things, for example, here we can click on the red and see what those elements are. Any of you that are used to Power BI will know how powerful it is to be able to click through and slice and dice the information. The solution does come with a number of pre-configured reports, but that is something for a later session, certainly in detail anyway. Next, I'm going to click on My Work, and I've mentioned before around how things are all interconnected in this system, how the data is all related together in the back of the system, and here is where we start to see the power of that. Not only do I see my active risks, issues and active projects, but I can also create elements at this this interface as well. So I can click on my new button here and I can create a brand new risk and I can tag it to my project. So what that means is that rather than having to go into my project and go and find a risk or go and find the risk register in my project and then add a risk in, I can, from this interface here, add multiple risks to multiple different projects. So maybe I've been chatting to my colleagues as I've been walking down the hall, and there's a number of different things for a couple of my projects that I need to add. I can do that here. I don't have to go and find my project. Having said that, it is easy to go and find your project still, so I can go in here and choose this one, for example, and then go and find my risks piece and then add in the risks there. So on to project requests then. This is where we start to get our first look at the project lifecycle. We have our project requests, we have our projects, and then of course we have our aggregating elements of programs and portfolios as well. So creating a project request, so a new idea in the system. I'm going to go through and do that. So JD's new idea. Of course I can add in some details here. I can add in requesters. I'm just going to put that down as me again. Executive sponsors, and again this is just the pre-configured solution. We can change the fields that are displayed here depending on what it is that you want in your business. I would like this project or this idea to start a project today if possible, so I'm going to add that in there as well. And now we've got some bits around financials here at the bottom as well. Now this piece at the top actually is going to tell us, if I click on new request, it's actually going to tell us what we need to fill in for this part of the life cycle. As I said before, this is all configurable, but this is the out-of-the-box configuration, the out-of-the-box solution. We can see we've got some estimated benefits, which I'm just going to put in some numbers here. And as I do that, you can see that it does actually add that in down here as well for us. Now this has got an asterisk, so this one is the one that I need to add in, so I'm going to add that in, and again it's going to pop in this box down at the bottom here as well. And of course we can control which ones are needed at which stage in the life cycle. And this is a very simple one, just the pre-configured solution is a very simple one. And indeed in this particular solution I am an administrator, so I can do all of the actions in here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to approve that and move it on to the final stage as well. We can of course have it so that the executive sponsor is the only one that can approve it, or whoever it is that needs to be in your organization. I'm just going to go and add some more bits in there as well. And now I'm also going to show you what it looks like if I were not an administrator in the system. So I can come in here. I'm now a different user, a basic user in the system, and I click on my new element here. So another idea, I'm going to call it. I'm just going to hit save on that one, and you can see now if I then click at the top, we can see that I can fill in the information, but I cannot move it on to the next stage. So that's something that has been reserved for the administrators, or certainly those with the privileges that my account has. Something else to mention in here as well, we've got drivers. So as part of the new ideas process here, I have skipped it on just so that it's going to create one in the background, that I can jump straight into that for us in a second. But the drivers piece, we can load a central set of drivers, which I've got configured down in another list. Again, something that's reserved for the profile that I have against my account here. But we have a number of drivers upon which we can score this particular idea against. And actually I think it's this particular idea is incredibly important. It's going to have a huge impact on all of these drivers, so that's what I'm going to do. Of course then we can report out this information, and if we have a number of different new ideas to approve or deny, we can then use that to make a good decision, hopefully. So If I now move down to the projects piece, and hopefully I'm going to show you that we've got a new project here. So JD's new idea, that you can see the project has been created, and this is our well, it's a very similar project center view if you're used to Project Online or Project Server, and we can just see we have a number of different views here as well. So again, all of this can be configured. It's currently the overview, which has got everything. I'm going to click on My Active Projects. And that's going to show me my new idea. I own quite a lot in this system, but I can click on this one now, and then we start to get into the details of this particular project, and we can start to see the different things that we can add in here, the different bits of data that we can add in here. We've got, of course, Project Manager is now me as the requester in the system, as we had it up there in the request. Portfolio program I'm going to come to in a second, but I think it's worth mentioning actually that the project request, where this project has come from, is not lost. So we have our project requests, we have projects. If there are other elements or buckets that make sense in your business, they can be added in as well. But the key thing is that the data is not lost, and at any point we want to, because all the data is related together, we can go back and we can see that record, which is something that can be very useful. Of course, we could also report on that as well in Power BI if we needed to. Okay. Portfolios and programs, then two aggregating elements that we've got here. So a couple of different ways. I've mentioned this before. We can do this from the bottom up, or we can do this from the top down. For a start, we have portfolios. I'm just going to click on that, nice and easy. I'm going to assign it to this particular portfolio. So that's nice and straightforward. I'm then going to jump into my portfolio. I'm going to see my active portfolios here. That's the one that I've just assigned it to. It's actually Chris that owns this one. We've got some information that we've pulled up to the top as well, the different number of projects that are in here as well. Again, some more information. We were able to roll up budgets and forecasts and actuals and things like that as well. And then we can click on our projects list and we can see all of the projects. Now, we've got JD's new idea here, which is what I've just added. And you can see that, again, we've got some information that we've surfaced here as well. If I wanted to, I could have just come in straight into this portfolio and I could have add my existing project in here. In fact, I may well do that for the programs. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add let's go for new program. I'm going to click on new program. I'm going to see some of the program level information that I can set here. Again, can all be configured. Come into my project. There's not a whole lot here at the moment, so I'm going to click on existing projects and oh look, there's my new idea. So I'm going to add that in. It's going to then start pulling things in from, there we go. It's going to start then pulling things in from that project. We can start see the start date already, the owner, of course the program and things like that. So again, can all be configured here. If I go back into my projects, I'm actually going to use, again, the hyperlink, nice and easy to get through from anywhere to this data. Come back in here, you can see actually this has been assigned here as well, which again is very useful. So we've got the top down and the bottom up view of those elements. Again, I'm just going to touch on a few things here just to give you an idea of the system as a whole. We've got our project KPIs. At the moment, they are drop-down lists. We can, of course, calculate this or these items based on anything that you have in one of these other tabs in the system. And we can pull in information from the schedule and budgets, forecasts, and things like that as well. So on to resourcing then. So resource planning. So I mentioned before around the resourcing and the financials piece on how we have a real intuitive interface here. And as you can see, we have already at the top here, we've got some filters which are set up. If I add a new row in here, I'm going to choose a resource name. Let's choose Chris. Automatically fills in his department as I have a list, a central list of resources where I've got some metadata in here. So again, Chris is in sales, which you've just seen there. From there, we can actually have any kind of fields that you want against Chris in this particular view, but from here you can see that, okay, I have the ability to give a number of days or ask a number of days of Chris's time for, in this case, 2022, and it's actually going to come up and it's going to say that I'm unlikely to get those days because Chris is working on other things. So if I again hover over this, we can see actually that the availability, which I've set in the background, I've set a capacity in the background, and we can see that Chris is already working on 10 hours, or 10 days that is, of other work in January, and therefore he's unlikely to be able to do this as well. But as you can see, I was able to drag that across in an Excel style and see the information move across, or the information duplicated in those columns, which is very useful. Again, new rows in here. I'm going to choose Yako here to do some work for me as well, and I'm going to just give that 5 days of effort this time as well. I'm going to drag that all the way through to December. Now, I said before that this is one of the real kind of great areas, as something that our customers really like. Part of the reason is, of course, it's an Excel style high level resource planning tool, which people love, but also we've got the ability here to start to group things together. So for example, I'm actually going to drag this here, so we can see we're starting to group our consulting departments, our sales departments together as well, which is quite useful. So again, if I add a new row, I'm then going to try and choose someone that's part of the same group. Let's see if I've got someone part of support this time as well. Okay, that's fine. But you can see here how it's really easy to drag these things around. And also I can create filters as well. So actually, if I've got support here, I'm actually going to change that to next year. It's going to disappear on me, and then I click on my 2023, and of course it's there, and then I can start to input that data for next year. Again, beauty of this system is not only can we do the bottom-up approach, which is what I'm showing you now, we can also do the top-down approach as well. So if I go into my resource plans, again, everything is linked in the system. So I go to my resource plans, and this is now everything that's in the system, all the projects in the system. As you've just seen me create that resource plan, we can now see all of those aggregated up together, which is incredibly powerful. So you can see I already have my 2022 filter set on here, and I'm already grouping by project. Actually, I'd really like that to be over here. Okay, that was easy, move that across. So now I can kind of scroll down and see where my project sits. Oh, there's my project down here. Okay, that's fine. I can see that Chris is red here. So I want to see what else Chris is working on. So actually, instead of that, I'm going to go with this, move that over, and then I'm going to remove project, and then drag that across as well. So now I can start to see, okay, what else is Chris up to? In fact, there he is. There's Chris. He's on these other projects as well. I can see, yeah, okay, he's got 25 days worth of work. I know in the background his capacity is set as something like 22 days, I think it is, generally speaking. So that's why he's turning out red here. So if I'm looking at this from the top down and I want to change this, I'm someone who is in control of this kind of thing, I can change and say, well, actually, I'm going to give you 5 days worth of Chris's time, and I'm going to move that across. And then, you know, potentially the project takes longer, but that's okay. I've had those discussions. So I've moved that out to 5 days. That's no problem. You can see now in a number of months, that's kind of solved the capacity issue that we had with Chris. And now if I go back to my project, we can see that as I've moved that at the top level, come back to my resource plan in here, we can see that actually that has been adjusted for us here. You can see the 5 days has come through at this level as well. So again, as I said before, this is something that our customers absolutely love, the Excel style planning ability here, the ability to drag things around, the ability to do to input data at both that top level and down in the project as well, which is very useful indeed. Now, I'm going to touch on integration very briefly and just say that we are able to integrate with other systems as well. We do have as I said before, a flavor of scheduling that includes Project Online, and of course it's possible to pull in data from Project Online and other tools as well if we need to do that. Sticking with the integration theme then, a common integration point is of course the financial piece. So here again, the same intuitive interface that we've seen before, and I can come in and add some new rows, so maybe some budget rows, for some equipment, CapEx maybe, and then again I can come in and start to add some figures and drag and drop as well. So I'll add another row in here for budget. Let's get software this time. Let's go for some OpEx, and then we will drag this across as well. So again, same thing here. We have currently got the cost type as the grouping here. We can switch that to cost category. We can move things around as well and make that nice and easy, not only just to input the data, but also to visualize the data as well. As I said, integration wise, we get this question quite a lot. Of course, we can throw Excel files, if that's what you're currently using, into locations and pull on that data, and also integrate as well with ERP solutions. And indeed, we have a number of customers currently integrating this with SAP as well. Something which I didn't mention on the resource plan that's also possible there as well is to be able to view this information in the little graph piece at the bottom as well, which is quite nice. But of course, everything that you've seen so far, all these common elements that I've shown you with the solution here, can be pulled into Power BI and reported there as well, sliced and diced as you can do in Power BI. Pieces that I've not really touched on very much today, so status updates I've not mentioned at this point. I will go through these in a later session in more detail, but just to give you a brief overview of the solution, another point where we can add in information here in a nice intuitive interface. Same kind of thing with risks and issues. Risks we did touch on up at the top there with my work. Again, down here I can now in the project assign risks as well. Issues, changes, actions, etc. Again, lots of different areas where I can input data into the system. Again, this is the out-of-the-box pre-configured solution, so if these don't make sense to your business, we can of course hide them, or indeed if they only make sense to certain types of projects or complexities of projects, depending on what those are, we can of course tailor those as well. So for example, a highly complex project, perhaps it's something that you select in your project details and we show you all of these lists, all of these entry points. Alternatively, it might be a very simple, straightforward, quick project, in which case maybe we just show the details, the schedule, project team, etc. Speaking of scheduling, that's something that I've not touched on at this point either. Again, that's going to come in the next session, whether it be project for the web scheduling, whether it be TPG scheduler, or indeed overlaying all of these common elements over an existing or a new project online environment. Reporting as well is something I've not touched on. Again, I will go into that. And we can see here that we have a number of Power BI reports, lots of pre-configured reports which come with this TPG ProjectPowerPack solution. So that's all we've got time for today. If you have any further questions, do feel free to get in touch with us either directly here in the UK or indeed contact your local TPG office. Thank you.
Thank you, John, and thank you everyone for attending today. As John mentioned, we are having another session, same time next week, focusing more on the scheduling and the reporting capability of the solution. It'd be great if you can attend. If in the meantime you have any questions, please do not hesitate to get in touch using some of the addresses attached here, or directly in touch with myself, John, or Katie from the session today. Thanks again. I'm going to bring the session to a close now. Goodbye.